On January 27th and 28th, the New Philharmonic Orchestra will present La Traviata, an opera that tells the tragic but triumphant tale of love, prevailing in spite of all of life's obstacles. Kirk, let's talk about the opera.
Oh, Lance, I love it.
I know you love it. Kirk loves the opera.
I love the opera.
And this is our thing, right?
Yes, it is.
So talk to us about the opera. Why is it so important? Why is this art form so important to you?
Well, generally, I just think it is the most complicated and sophisticated form of art for me. Mm-hmm. It's even more complicated than symphonic work or just choral work, and that's my own subjective opinion, of course, but I can tell you that Riccardo Muti would also agree with me, I can tell you, and especially about Verdi, because he loves Verdi. I'm sorry if I'm speaking for Mr. Muti, Maestro Muti, but I know that he loves Verdi over everyone. So I think it's so beautiful to watch the singers having to learn something in a foreign language that's written in 1853, to act those parts, for the stage director to bring something to life, for the lighting people, for the production people, all those people. Then you add the conductor and the orchestra and the choruses and the costumer and the makeup person and the wig person. And then you bring a story of this young woman, this tragic young woman, to life. For me, the play is already beautiful, The Lady of the Camellias. And the movie, you know, Pretty Woman, is a fine movie. But this has more tentacles. It has more grabs into your heart, for me.
Now, you know what I find so compelling is a piece of work and a story from the 1800s is still so relevant today. Not all the operas have that same amount of relevance. This one does.
Oh, sure.
This story is happening today.
Yeah,
somewhere,
it's forever. It's
right?
forever. It's the same story of that poor young woman that has been, I mean, when you think of women up until maybe you picked a time, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, in history, they couldn't own land. If there was money, they didn't have their own money. They couldn't have a career. They were not really educated. Oh, yeah, they could play the piano and recite poetry and learn French, but they weren't educated. So a woman who actually became a courtesan at 13 years old or 14 controlled her own destiny, decided where she was going, I mean, depending what kind of courtesan she was. But she got to be at the opera, she got to be with the smartest people, she got to be healthy, she got to eat wonderful food, she could keep her own money, she, you know, all of those things. And the real woman, Marie, that this is built on, was 13 when her father sold her to be a prostitute, and she was so beautiful. She died at 22. She was Alexander Dumas, who's the Lady of the Camellias. When he wrote the original story of her, she was his lover, and she was also the lover of Franz Liszt and several other people. So from the time she's maybe 15 until she's 22, she's with some of the greatest intellectuals of Paris at the time, and she comes from a little village in Normandy. And again, she's warm, she gets to eat, she has beautiful clothes, she's clean, she's money, all those things. And yet she dies, like so many people did then, of tuberculosis. And sort of course, once her beauty has gone, the world forgets her very quickly.
Right.
But the reason I'm very attracted to this story is that when you go to Paris, you can go to her grave. And they say that every day there are people who come and bring camellias to her.
Oh, how beautiful.
So this is Violetta. She's just given a different name of a different flower, you know. But the music is, you asked a very telling question, and that is, why is it that in 1853 this is produced, and 2017 we still love it, and we're still crying at the end? Because it is genius. It is genius, and that's one of the reasons that opera is so vital to me. It is absolute genius.
And you are doing it in Italian?
Yeah, with super titles.
So one thing I found when I've gone to the opera, it really helps to read the story before you go, learn about it, research about it, because although what you're seeing and you hear this woman singing, you know, the more you know about the story and the levels, the more interesting it is.
Surely.
I think. And I think a lot of people get disenfranchised from opera because they just walk in cold and are like, I don't get it. And I'm trying to read the subtitles, so I'm not really watching her, and I'm not, you know, and they get distracted. Where I think that if you can come in having read a synopsis, know a little bit about what you're going to see, you can enjoy it more. You can watch the emotion. You can really listen instead of reading and looking all around, you know?
And, you know, I don't know if, you know, because you're not an opera, you're a theater person, I know. But when you're studying opera, like I am all the time, you know that until about the 1950s, people who came to the Lyric or the Met or wherever, they were given a complete libretto.
Exactly.
And they read it. The lights were up enough
to see it.
And they had little opera glasses and things. And they were reading the translation of every single line. And there was like a synopsis in the front and history of Verdi and what he wrote besides that. Did he write Trovatore? And that, yes, he did. Did he write Rigoletto? That in the same month? Yes. All these things. So people were more engrossed and invested in learning that. This opera actually is a very simple story that I think you can
It's
watch.
very simple.
I think you can watch very easily, just scene to
beautiful.
act to scene to act. Yeah, you see the.
But all the depth that you just shared, that's very interesting information, and it makes you appreciate it more. That's why I love to be able to talk to you before seeing one, because you give so much information that then when you're watching it, it contextualizes it all, and you're even more invested. You know, are you excited about the cast?
Yes, the cast is. 3 of the people are just graduated from the Ryan program at Lyric Opera. So Scott Ramsey, our tenor, is all over the world. I've worked with him maybe about 10 years ago. Emily Berson has been here for New Year's Eve.
She's beautiful.
She's just, she's also all over the world. And Corey Kreider is Germont, the Giorgio Germont, who is the father who comes and pleads with Violetta, please do not marry my son because you're going to ruin my daughter. She will never be able to marry anyone. And so Violetta gives up her love to save this other girl. She's a completely huge-hearted, kind woman. She sells all her stuff to support, poor Alfredo. She's a completely kind-hearted, wonderful, beautiful human being that happens to also be a beautiful woman. So the character is complex. And yes, I'm very excited about the cast.
Good.
Also, Karen Wilder is in the cast. She's Flora. And Karen is from Downers Grove.
Nice.
Oh, maybe Wheaton. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to it, Kirk. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all this with us.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you play the piano one day real soon.
Okay.
For more information on tickets to La Traviata, visit atthemac.org or call the box office at 630-942-4000. That's all the time we have for today, but be sure to tune in next month for an all-new episode, which will have even more behind-the-scenes details about upcoming shows and events at the MAC. I'm Diana Martinez. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you at the theater and next time on Backstage Buzz.